Welcome to the Lessons from the Animal series. In this video, we're going to be going over the dragon. So this video is going to serve as a sort of end point for my current list of Lessons from the Animals videos. It doesn't mean that I'm going to stop doing Lessons from the Animals entirely, but I am going to be taking a break from this to do other videos and content. But this is with the dragon lesson that we're going to be learning today is kind of a way to kind of sum up everything that we've done and kind of wrap it all in a nice clean bow. So now we got to look at the dragon. And the dragon from Chinese mythology, that one that looks like a snake that swims through the sky. Obviously, we don't have dragons to watch in today's society. So it's not like I can just go out and dragon watch and be like, oh, I can learn lessons like this. But we can learn lessons from the culture and the mythology behind the dragons. And that's why dragon systems are a thing in Chinese martial arts today, as well as dragon like a terminology and theories and stuff like that. So what I'm going to be talking about with the dragon today is how it's supposed to be a sort of chimera creature. Because what it's supposed to be is all the lessons that we learned, all combined into one. Because it's not just one creature, but it's many creatures. Because like you might think like, how do these myths get told in the first place, right? Because we can end up having an instance where we might find a creature that we're unfamiliar with, which is harder today because we have internet and we can look up a lot of the new creatures that we might not even have in our areas of the world. And we have a lot more knowledge. But think like back in primitive days where like you don't know what a Komodo dragon is, or you don't know what a tiger is, or you don't know what a bear looks like. And then, you see one for the first time and it's like, oh, it is like almost a traumatic experience, and then you try to recall it, and our recall isn't as perfect as we might like to claim sometimes, so we might remember it wrong, and then it's like what once was a Komodo dragon, which is basically just a big lizard, it was now like, oh, it was huge, it was flying at me, and it had horns, and which it doesn't have, but we might have recalled wrong, right? Which happens, and that's why like mythology is a big thing, right? Like everybody has these stories, and even Bigfoot's a thing, right? So we take this kind of thing into context, and over time, people's stories start to corroborate. It's like, no, it was a dragon and it had antlers. It's like, no, it was a snake. It was like a snake. It's like, no, it had talons like an eagle. No, jaws like a tiger. And then eventually they start to corroborate. It's like, oh, it has all of these things, right? And that's where you can kind of see the dragon chimera creature come from. Because as they say, it's like it's got the big body of a snake, and it has these talons like an eagle, antlers like a stag, jaws like a tiger. It has all these different characteristics that we pull from other things that we already know, and then apply to this creature that we're trying to understand based on one small sighting or what we might have thought would have been a sighting, right? And from this, we get this chimeric creature that has aspects of other animals within itself. So from this, we can take all the lessons that we learned from all these previous lessons and apply them in one being. The dragon is always considered, like when it's associated with other animals in the system, is always considered the most advanced, right? So in Hungar, there's like 5 animals. There's the tiger, leopard, crane, snake, and dragon. But the dragon is considered the most advanced. And the dragon is considered the most advanced because it has qualities of the other 4 within itself. So it has that strength and heaviness of the tiger. It has that agility of the leopard. It has that smooth and balanced flow of the crane. It has the rapid, fast strikes and the pressure points of the snake. It has all of those things combined into one creature. So at some point, we need to embody all of these things that we learn, not just one thing and then another thing. So I can take my lessons from the eagle, where I had the eagle's talons, as well as the mobility of the flight, right? And I can be like, okay, I can be a China expert and take that on wheels. But I can take the lessons of the snake, the flexible attack, the flexible body, as well as the constrictor that constricts and eats up space. And I can be like, okay, I can embody that. I can embody the flexibility, the flexible attack, and I can embody that constrictor method. And I can take the torso movements of the tiger and the predator mindset of the tiger. I can embody that. But can I embody all of them at once? Because all these things are teaching us all useful things in martial arts context, and even other contexts if we can apply it as well. But can I apply them all at once? Can I be a chimeric creature that has all of these things? Because you might end up fighting a dragon, and at first it's facing you with the jaws of the tiger, and then it turns its head, and now suddenly you're dealing with the antlers of the stag, and then it flips over its body, and now it's the talons of the eagle, and it unfurls, and now it's got the body of the snake. And every time it changes, every time it moves, you're now fighting what is almost a different creature entirely. And because you're fighting something different from what you already thought you knew, it's constant adaptation in order to keep up with that, right? So if I come at somebody with the flexible methods of the snake, and they are starting to prepare for that, they understand it's like, oh, this guy has some really quick hands, and he's got some flexible or unorthodox movements here. So maybe I just need to grab onto him, keep him from moving. Well, then if I suddenly change to eagle and then grab onto him with my eagle talons and start picking pieces away from him, suddenly now the game has changed. And now he has to be like, oh, I don't want to get grabbed by this guy. So now I got to keep away from him. So I got to stay on the defense here. Well then, now what if I suddenly change to tiger, and the swarming methods of the tiger, I'm going to lunge on you now. Like I'm eating up your space. Now that he's trying to get away, I just keep chasing, eating, right? Every time he changes to adapt to me, I change to give him something else to adapt to. And then as he adapts, I change to something else so that he can never guess what I am. And that's how we can learn all of these lessons and combine it into one thing, right? Whether I learn Baguazhang and I'm taking all these lessons, or if I do tiger boxing specifically and I learn all these lessons, I can take all these lessons and influence my own martial arts to embody these characteristics that are all good, right? Because shrink, expand of monkey is good for delivering power. So why not use that in my art? And the open close of the crane, right, the wings, which also engages the torso, that is, we determined, is good for developing power again. So why not include that in my art? The flexible methods of the snake, why not include that in my art? That's what the dragon is trying to teach. How can I embody all of these characteristics at once? But not in a way where it's like overwhelming for me, because like a lot of things to learn, but how can I embody these things one at a time until I've mastered all of them and I become this enigma, so to speak. I become this dragon. So it's not so much that I'm learning all these different things, but I'm learning these things so that I can become one whole. I can become the dragon. Right? So I learn all these other animals so that I can then become the dragon. I can then become the chimera. I can become the thing that's difficult to comprehend, because every time you think you understand, it changes. And every time you adapt to what it changes to, you change again. Every time they try to adapt, I keep changing faster and faster and faster. Not necessarily movement speed, but adaptation speed wise. So within the dragon, we learn everything that we've learned is all has to be composed into a whole core structure. Not just, I do flexible attack when I'm snake, and I do torso softness movement when I'm tiger, or I do mobility when I'm eagle. But I can do all of these things at once, because you are not an eagle, you are not a tiger, you are not a snake. You are a being, you are a person. You can make everything into the one whole so that you can become the dragon, so to speak. The dragon that has the characteristics of all of these animals. So that's the lesson. I'll see you in the next video, whatever it may be. Take care.